Alright, welcome to another video. I apologize, I'm not making videos as often as I used to. Number of reasons for that. This is going to be a kind of a more busy year for me because my certs expire in September. So I really need to prioritize working on that. I'm going to be using tools like Boson, and then I'm going to be just kind of reading. Reading out loud isn't an efficient way to study, I think, which was probably proven by my failure with the JNCIE-SP. I think it's great for focusing, but just for like efficiency of time, I don't think it's the best strategy. So I can talk a little bit about what my study plan has been for the JNCIE, the recertification of my CCNP. Just because I think it might be interesting for a lot of people to know that. So there's my personal email. But let's see here. So you can see I've got my browser organized. I'm always fighting to have my attention focused. That's always been a challenge for me all throughout my life. So one strategy I've found that is like pretty effective is to have your necessary resources saved. Then you can go back to them and get them right away instead of having to fight your way through attention. So you can see on my homepage here, I don't have any news popping up. I don't have anything except for the things that I to some extent actually care about using. And there's things that sneak on here. I probably need to clean this up, but this is I'm sure if a random person would pull up their page like this and make it public, I'm sure my browser looks a lot better. So the strategy I'm using to recert my CCNP is multifold. The first thing I am doing, so I can see I've got a folder for the things I do to further my career, such as I have cheat sheets, I have my self-study channel, and then just a general education tab. So I have within that a folder for recertification. These are my two certs that'll expire this year. So I have various resources that are just available for free online if you Google CCNP. And the best resource I found in doing that is this video series here by David Bumble. If you're watching me and you're not watching David Bumble, switch over to David Bumble right now. He is an absolute treasure to the networking community. So you can see he has a whole playlist on the 350-401 ENCOR, which is what I'm going to choose to take in order to recert my CCNP. I have the option of taking that, or I can take two other exams in other subjects. I'm choosing the ENCOR because it's one test, and I don't think it's really kind of the appropriate time for me to learn a new subject. I think just recerting my CCNP is a higher priority than branching out and trying to learn something new. I'm actually pretty concerned that I won't be able to recert it, given the kind of last 2 years of my life being much more chaotic with things like the pandemic, and I'm here in Texas, and the winter storm was also pretty psychologically taxing on me. But that's what this channel is for, is to kind of keep that that grinder mindset going, keep being productive even through challenges. I started this channel right during the beginning of the pandemic, just so I could handle that better and not kind of fall into a black tunnel of despair. All right, so as I watch these videos, I keep track of the current video I'm on. So I have another folder here, Bumble Series current video. The current video I'm on is
what I want to demonstrate is how to
this one here for installing VirtualBox on Windows. Some of these, like this one, I know how to install it, and some of these videos, it's like, how do you install VirtualBox for Windows? You read the docs and you follow the docs. There might be some extra information in a video, whereas like if you can't find the correct version or anything like that, or you don't know like how to find the docs, but some of this is a little bit of not the best use of time. But this is part one of my strategy. And then part two of my strategy, I purchased the Boson network simulator. So I need to work on that every day. Another kind of aspect of my strategy, I really like spaced repetition software. So there's a site called Anki Web that you can create an account on, and then you can get community decks of people who have I don't know why abortion is okay. I guess I must have searched. Okay, I don't know why abortion just popped up there, but let's ignore that. That kind of. I wish I could manage that better. Like, I'm always struggling to stay on task. I kind of have a little bit of like ADHD that I'm always struggling with a little bit. So I wish I could like manage my computer usage better than I have been. But I think I do a decent job at it. One of the most important tools I use is on YouTube, and it's an extension called Unhook YouTube here. So I got a number of ad blockers, but I've also got this Unhook YouTube. Without this Unhook YouTube really saved me. Even with it, sometimes I have trouble, but without it, I just would not be able to do the things I want to do. Okay, so I'm going to search for CCMP. Okay, so that's not the correct place to search. I'm going to go back to Dex. There we go. And now if I click this Get Shared Dex, there we go. Now we can get flashcard decks that people just in the community studying, people, you know, goodwill, charitable people, created to help them study and thought, hey, if this helps me study, it could help other people study. So we can see like anatomy. If you want to be, so here's all of the decks that people made to help them learn anatomy. So there's decks for the CCMP, and I'll search by ENCOR. Yeah, because that's what it's called now. So here's a community deck for the Cisco CCMP ENCOR. And it looks like it got 1 rating. So we can see we've got over 1,000 cards. Both decks have that. So this is pretty solid. And I was doing that for a while, but it got to the point where because there's something called brain dumping, and there's really good articles on this exam strategy, which is not a exam strategy that I think it might even be considered officially cheating, where if you are exposed as somebody who does the brain dumping strategy, and basically earns one of these certifications simply by rote memorization and actually has no experience or actually has no real hands-on education or actually beyond a surface level understanding of the topics, you can have your certs revoked or have some kind of punishment or bad scenario for that. So if you search for this on Google, though, you'll see brain dumping stuff pop up, everywhere. It's just kind of unavoidable to see. But I definitely recommend really, and that's kind of the main one of the main tenets behind this channel too, is concepts, not commands. So you really want to, because you want to actually be able to apply what you've learned on the job. To some extent, it is about getting the job in the first place, but to a much larger extent, it's about exceeding in the job once you have it. And if you just focus on what's called brain dumps, that will be much more difficult to exceed on the job once you have it. And the other thing I will say about that is actually learning the material and not trying to cheat. I think it's a better exam strategy anyway. You have no way of knowing if these dumps are actually accurate or not. But you do have, if you read the official exam certification guide, if you go through community materials that are well vetted and well liked and well reviewed, that's a better strategy than just relying on some shady thing that you found just by searching on Google. So that's all I want to say about that. I'm gonna pause it and come back. I need a quick break. All right, I'm back. So kind of a odd rant. Unfortunately, it's been about 12 minutes, so I'm off topic. This really isn't what I wanted the video to be about. I just kind of wanted to explain myself after not posting a video for, let's see here. Yeah, so not posting a video for 2 weeks, just kind of disappearing off the face of the earth. I wish I could say I was being super productive in my research during that time, but I did accomplish some things. I made it through some of the Bumble series, although I've got a lot more to go. I got all my flashcards ready, and I got signed up for Boson. So it's just a matter of grinding now. So I got all of the inertia out of the way. Okay, but this video, I just wanted to make a video, to be honest. I don't even know what I wanted to make it about. But I haven't posted in 2 weeks, so I just want to get another video up there. So let's treat this video as if it were just a wild networking series video.
Okay, welcome
and
to
let's pick out a RFC to go after. So possibly the other RFC I could have gone. In fact, this actually might be a good thing to go over, because I just finished reading an RFC about RDAP, which is registration, access, our registry. I forget, but let's see here. So, Registration Data Access Protocol, RDAP. So I just finished reading 902. There's a companion RFC. I believe it's 903. Could be 901. No, it's 903. So the companion RFC goes over all of the JSON responses and everything. So you know what? I think I'm gonna do this video on that. So apologize, the first 15 minutes of this video are off topic, but I'm gonna make this while networking RFC series 9083. Okay, so RFC 93 is titled JSON responses for registration data access protocol. There's no updates. That doesn't looks like it obsoletes. This is probably the who is protocol. Oh, okay. This just looks like a prior definition of the JSON responses. So it looks like it's obsoleted by this newer version here. We can see June 2021, brand new. And then it came from this IETF draft. Alright, so the abstract of this document describes JSON data structures representing registration information maintained by regional internet registries, RIRs, and domain name registries, DNRs. These data structures are used to form registration data access protocol, or DAP, query responses. This document obsoletes RFC 7483. Status of this memo. Okay, I can skip that. The status. Okay, I guess I can just skip over that, as well as the copyright notice. Okay, so number one is the introduction. This document describes responses in the JSON. So here's a legacy RFC. I'm not sure if a lore RFC to help understand the history of this. I'm not sure if I want to save all these like I did before. You know what? I kind of do. That was actually pretty useful to do that. Format for the queries as defined by the Registration Data Access Protocol query format. So this one I already read, but that's another lore RFC. A communication protocol for exchanging queries and responses is described in RFC 7480. This document obsoletes RFC 7483. Alright, I'll put these in order. Alright. Section 1.1, terminology and definitions. So these are the classic keywords defined in these lore RFCs. The keywords must not, required, shall not, should not, recommended, not recommended, may, and optional in this document are to be interpreted as described in BCP 14. So I'm not sure what a BCP is, but it looks like they're also described in these RFCs here. And this is one that's going to pop up again and again and again. So I'll save this as the lore RFC because it's important to go back and reference and make sure it's well understood what these words mean. The following list describes when and only when they appear in all capitals as shown here. So they can use these words must not, required, etc. But they're only using it to mean the interpretations described in these documents when the word is capitalized. They can also use it in lowercase, but if they use it in lowercase, they're using the colloquial definition of the word. The following list describes terminology and definitions used throughout this document. DNR, domain name registry or domain name registrar. LDH, letters, digits, hyphen. Member, Data found within an object as defined by JSON. So here's another lore RFC, but we got that one open already. Object, a data structure as defined by JSON, RFC 8259. That one's open as well. And that's the same one as up here. Object class, the definition of members that may be found in JSON objects described in this document. Object instance, an instantiation or specific instance of an object class. RDAP, Registration Data Access Protocol. RIR, Regional Internet Registry. Section 1.2, Data Model. The data model for JSON responses is specified in 5 sections. Section 1, simple data types conveyed in JSON primitive types, strings, numbers, booleans, and null. Section 2, data structures specified as JSON arrays or objects that are used repeatedly when building up larger objects. Section 3, object classes representing structured data corresponding to a lookup of a single object. Section 4, arrays of objects representing structured data corresponding to a search for multiple objects. Section 5, the response to an error. The subject classes represent responses for 2 major categories of data. Responses returned by RIRs for registration data related to IP addresses, reverse DNS names, and autonomous system numbers, and responses returned by DNRs for registration data related to forward DNS names. The following object classes are returned by both RIRs and DNRs. First object class is domains, the second object class is name servers, and the third object class is entities. The information served by both RIRs and DNRs for these object classes overlap extensively and are given in this document as a unified model for both classes of service. In addition to the object classes listed above, RIRs also serve the following object classes. Object class 1, IP networks. Object class 2, autonomous system numbers. Object classes defined in this document represent a minimal set of what a compliant client/server needs to understand to function correctly. However, some deployments may want to include additional object classes to suit individual needs. Anticipating this need for extension, Section 2.1 of this document defines a mechanism for extending the JSON objects that are described in this document. Positive responses take 2 forms. A response to a lookup of a single object in the registration system yields a JSON object, which is the subject of the lookup. A response to a search for multiple objects yields a JSON object that contains an array of JSON objects that are the subject of the search. In each type of response, other data structures are present within the topmost JSON object. Section 2, use of JSON. 2.1 is naming. Clients of these JSON responses should ignore unrecognized JSON members in responses. Servers can insert members into the JSON responses which are not specified in this document, but that does not constitute an error in the response. Servers that insert such unspecified members into JSON responses should have member names prefixed with a short identifier, followed by an underscore, followed by a meaningful name. It has been observed that these short identifiers and software implementers with identifying the specification of the JSON member and failure to use one cause an implementer to assume The server is erroneously using a name from this specification. This allowance does not apply to JCard objects. I don't know what a JCard object is, so we've got a lore RFC here. The full JSON name, the prefix plus the underscore plus the meaningful name, should, in capital letters, so this means the RFC definition should, adhere to the character and name limitations of the prefix registry described in RFC 7480, which is here. And we can look at that definition of should. This word or the adjective recommended mean that there may exist valid reasons in particular circumstances to ignore a particular item, but the full implications must be understood and carefully weighed before choosing a different course. Consider the following JSON response with JSON members, all of which are specified in this document. And we can see a real-world example of JSON, because this is the Wild Networking series where we look at network engineering in the real world, by hitting F12. That should work for most browsers, so if you're watching this, I urge you to hit F12 and get really comfortable with this interface, because this will teach you so much about the internet and about valuable computer skills that you can use to build a career. So if I refresh, we can see now there's an exchange of traffic over the network. We've got the document here, which is it's an HTML file. Yeah, doc type HTML. And then we also got a picture. But there should be... No, there's not going to be any JSON. There's not going to be any JSON because it's just HTML. If I go to open a new tab here, there should be some JSON exchanged, I think. So that's not JSON, that's JavaScript. Yeah, this is JavaScript. JavaScript is a really ubiquitous language. I definitely recommend getting comfortable with JavaScript, because you might find yourself in situations where I can't get Python on this computer because the computer is locked down. I don't have permissions. Getting permissions is impossible. Well, any computer where you can use a browser is going to have JavaScript on it already. So you kind of have an emergency programming language at your disposal if you know JavaScript. So I highly recommend learning JavaScript. Okay, so I actually lost my place when I refreshed that, so I don't think I was that far along. I think I was at like section 2.2. Yeah, so I was right here. Consider the following JSON response with JSON members, all of which are specified in this document. So we've got our key value pairs. We've got a key here of handle, the string handle, and we've got a value of the string ABC123. We've got a second key value pair here. The key is remarks, and then the value is a list. You can see the list begins here and ends there, and within the list there is one. So within the list, it looks like there is one element, and that element is another JSON object. So within this JSON object, we have one key here named description, and then this key has a value of a list. And we can see within this list, we have two elements within the list. We have this string here, she sells seashells down by the seashore, and we have this second element here, originally written by Terry Sullivan. And that's the final element of the list that is a value of this key description, and that is what constitutes this JSON payload, which is the only element within the value of the remarks key in our main JSON load here, our overarching top level JSON object. If the registry of the moon decides to express information not found in the specification, it might select lunar Nick as its identifying prefix and insert. As an example, the member named lunar Nick before one small step to signify registrations occurring before the first moon landing, and the member named lunar Nick harsh mistress notes that contains other descriptive text. Consider the following JSON response with JSON names, some of which should be ignored by clients without knowledge of their meaning. Okay, so we've got a similar key here. We've got the handle key. We've got a new key here, lunar Nick, before one small step. And then we've got another key which is the same as above, called remarks. And we've got a final key here, lunar Nick, harsh mistress notes. So same thing as up there, just more complicated. I'm not going to read it through like I did up there, because the more complicated it gets, the more difficult it is to conceptualize. It's meant to be read by machines, not humans. That's kind of the whole point of this payload. It makes it really easy for a machine to read it, but if you're a human, it can be a little bit difficult to describe these layers of nestation. Insertion of unrecognized members ignored by clients may also be used for future revisions to the specification. Clients processing JSON responses need to be prepared for members representing registration data specified in this document to be absent from a response. In other words, servers are free to omit unrequired/optional JSON members containing registration data based on their own policies. Finally, all JSON names specified in this document are case sensitive. Both servers and clients must transmit and process them using the specified character case. So one more thing I want to say about this is, yes, this is meant to be read by machines, and not necessarily as much read by humans. But humans still need to read it, right? Humans need to enter the data into it. Humans need to organize the data properly. And it doesn't mean that machines can completely handle the data and the humans can step away from it, right? So how is a human meant to handle data that is meant for a machine, that is meant to be processed by a machine? You can use code for that. You can build a tool that has a simple, so like HTML has like input forms that you can use, and you can build a nice presentable, like for here, like we can see if I click on try it myself, submit, input was received as John Doe. So you can use tools, you can use code like this. You can do it with Python. Django is a good tool for that. Web framework, like even right here, you know, if I open my F12 and then I search for this is a test, oops, I need to search for this. This is a test. Yeah, so now we can see we've got all these files, but so here's my search file. So you can see instead of this is what is meant to be read by a machine. So for me, I just have this fancy text bubble here that I just write stuff in. I don't have to go and edit this here or even look at it at all. It's automatically generated. So that's, I think, something important to understand, is that this is meant by a machine. So if you want this to be processed or represented for humans, you need to use some kind of framework or create some additional code that displays it in an ideal way to be processed by a human. But the kind of beauty of this, and why it was so revolutionary, is that step of making it processable for a human does not alter the step of making it processable by a machine. Before the invention of this, whatever you did to make it easily configurable by a human affected what you could do to send it to a machine. You had to do all kinds of processing on it. You had to build your own format. Formats couldn't interoperate with each other because they were based on this input and whatever the developer decided to send the format as over to other machines. So this really revolutionized everything, because all programmers could agree, okay, however we show this data to the human, however we want the human to modify this data, it's going to look like this when we send it to the machine. So really groundbreaking, revolutionary that there is that defined format that everyone accepts and adheres to. It really allows machine-to-machine communication to happen much more seamlessly. Alright, so this video is now 37 minutes, and as I said, unfortunately, I'm going to be wanting to focus more on my research efforts, so I've got about an hour left this morning, early morning for me, rare early morning before work. So I'd rather spend that time on CCNP research study. And as I said, I don't feel comfortable doing that in public on camera because I'm using paid resources for that. And I'm sure just putting that out there public isn't the way to go on that. Yeah, that's going to be it. I definitely wanted to make a video because I haven't made one in 2 weeks, and I really enjoy making these, and I feel like reading these RFCs is a really solid strategy to becoming really like top tier. Like certification, yeah, I think is a good strategy. I think it's important, which of course is why I'm going to be spending some time on that, and not focusing on this channel as much this year. But being able to put things into words, reading it out loud, being able to maintain focus, having that kind of self-consciousness or that kind of understanding that you might be watched, I think is really, really valuable for me. So I really enjoy making these videos. I hope other people enjoy it too. And I'll try to keep them coming the best I can. But until then, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.